Hey everybody, it's Mike Biddle. I have another TYCO US1 trucking video from TYCO US1trucking.com. Today I'm going to show you this one's missing a bulb for some reason. I don't know why, but I bought it off of eBay. But you can see here it's got this is where the bulb goes in. And then I have one here. And as you can see, I've kind of bent these out a little bit with the tweezers so they'll kind of hook in place, and then I'm going to solder those in. Now everybody probably has their own way of doing things, but to pop the motors out, I just like to get these little flathead screwdrivers and just give it some leverage, and then it pops right out. See? So once you remove the motor, which you can go ahead and oil this too while you have it out, then you're actually ready to solder. And you can see right here there's a little notch there on each side, and this will fit down in that groove, and then you can just solder that in place. Once you've unscrewed that from the bottom side, you can just push up and through there and those nuts come right out, and then you can just pull this out, and then that'll make it easier to solder to outside. Alright, this is going to be kind of hard to film, but what I'm going to do is get the bulb in there, and then I'm going to use this to kind of pinch it in place a little bit, and then we'll see what happens from there. So I'm going to go here, and then you see it's kind of hanging there, and I'm just going to try to pinch it in place here and see what I can do. Actually worked. Alright, so that's on there. Now I can go ahead and solder it. Gonna try to get it a little bit of a, kind of see how I've got it, and then I just pinched it together on there so it'll just make it easier to solder on. Alright, once you've got that soldered on, you're gonna clean your shoes up. I use some P220. Some people may cringe at that. Who cares? It makes it work again. Make sure they're flat. Go ahead and put them back on the bottom side. Then you're going to push that back down in, and you can see it's that nut shape. And then you're going to put your other piece back down in there, and then you can take your this piece and this piece, because the two dots you should see when you're putting it in, and then your screw up to the bottom. Alright, so you can see I've got that pressed down in there firmly, and then we're going to just flip it over. And I'm going to put my finger on there and hold it in place, and then we're going to screw in that piece and the screw into there to connect it. Alright, as you can see, that's in there, and note these go to the outside. You should be seeing those, and then it automatically should give you enough bend here. You do not need to bend these. They should actually be flat when they're installed. Now it makes the other side a lot easier to install because it's, you know, tightly in place. Alright, as you can see, the other one's in place here. Now we just need to flip this around, put our other shoe back in place. Alright, so we're lined up. Alright, so now you can see we've got our bulb ready, and it's soldered nicely on. That ain't going anywhere. I've just got to pop our motor back down in place. Before we put our motor in, we're going to give it a little dab of oil right here. There's on each side of the motor, just one drop. So, and then I just spin this to work that in. Flip it over. Do the same for this side. That's too much. Keep a Q-tip handy in case you get too much on there. And then same thing, spin. All right. Now we're going to take some super lube, and I have links to this on our website, TYCO US1trucking.com, where you can look in the comments below and I'll link to it. Just put a little bit of this on. Work it in. Same here. Now do not use the liquid bearings on these gears. This, you use super lube. Now this specific one, it's got like these microscopic like little beads, balls in it. It's like patented, so this is the best kind to use for these type of projects. All right, now that you've done that, we're going to pop our engine back in place, and we just have to make sure that the motor connectors are on the outside. As you can see, this one's not. So we have to make sure that that is on the outside of the engine, like, let me zoom in like this one, so it can get a connection. So you may have to do some finagling there, which we just... What I'm going to do is I'm going to press these out a little bit. They probably got heated up a little bit when we were doing the soldering, so I need to push these back out some. Also need to make sure our Alright, so now we're popped back in place. You see we've got a nice factory looking connection there. Obviously this is very well worthwhile on a Department of Highways truck, and let's go test it out. Alright, so we should have lights and motor power, and we do. If you don't, you just need to check these two connections and make sure they're touching the sides. You may have to bend that copper back in just a little bit to make sure it's touching the motor just on either side. All right, let's take it for a test run. All right, here we go. By the way, I did put the weight back in before I put the chassis on. All right, we got lights again. And they're really bright because the bulb's brand new. One thing about these incandescent bulbs is over time they lose their lumens, just like headlights in a car. So that looks really good.